Hey guys, this is Adelhyde. I don't usually do this, but today I wanted to do a Let's Play. There's a new Ninja Warriors game coming out, supposedly this year, if I remember well. And I was kind of in the mood to revisit both available games. So the arcade version of the original game is available, and I decided to just plow my way through it, just for fun, just to relax, honestly. This isn't any form of challenge, but really just something I want to do to relax, something just casually, and kind of in good spirit that there's a third game coming out. So, let's get started. The very first thing that you notice when you boot up the game is that it's kind of divided into 3 screens. And that was the thing, right? The arcade machine itself had 3 screens, so obviously HD wasn't a thing yet, but it was like probably the only, or one of the only widescreen experiences you could have at the arcades back in the day. And I remember that just because of the 3 screens, the machine caught my attention very, very quickly. Like, I mean, it was bigger than other ones, and definitely, like, I mean, what kind of kid would not notice this, right? And it was ninjas and robots, and speaking of which, that's what the characters kind of are. You're like some form of Terminator ninja, and there's like this, what we can call it, this like dictator government run by some kind of like coward asshole, and you're basically this Terminator sent on a mission to assassinate him. As for first impressions, my very, very first experience with the franchise was the Super Nintendo sequel. I was used to its graphics, how the characters and just, you know, the whole flow of that. So when I saw the arcade for the first time, even though I was extremely appealed and still recognized the characters, I thought to myself, this looks amazing, but why is it so ugly? I don't find it ugly by any means now, but still, the graphics really grew on me. But I think that the fact that I knew what the Ninja Warriors was when I was a kid, thanks to the Super Nintendo sequel, really helped me like give this one a chance, and it's really worth it, to be honest. I don't regret anything. The gameplay is very fluid considering the era when it was made. The music is fucking excellent. It's a band called Zuntata, and they made the soundtrack for the game. The song playing right now is called Daddy Mulk, and it's like extremely iconic. What else is there to say? What I'm playing right now is the Japanese version, which I want to get as close to original experiences as possible. You know, since the game is Japanese in origins and was made, you know, I really want to play the original of what the developers created back in the day, so I really care about authenticity. So I always do my best to get as close to the original as possible. So this is a normal playthrough. I'm not aiming for like... I'm kind of known for playing on the hardest difficulty and stuff, but I don't even remember if this is on the hardest setting. I honestly doubt it. But regardless of that, the game is kind of challenging. And I wonder if my button mashing can be heard. Oh wow, I usually never kill the boss like this fast. That's a rare occurrence. Yeah, I doubt it's on the hardest setting, because on the hardest setting they really give you hell. That's probably my second or third favorite stage in the game. I really like the graphics for this one. I like the mountains in the background. I like the fact that there's like these evil dogs that are coming your way. Here, because I'm playing on PS4, the controller starts to like really rumble, really, you know, make you feel it that something big is coming your way. And turns out it's actually a tank. And those motherfuckers are hard. They're hard to kill. They really are. If you don't already know, like, back in the arcade days, there was this big thing of like, okay, so let's say you were like 9 or 11 or 12, right? The teens who were like approximately 15, 16, you know, in those age, they would have figured out some tricks because most of the time they knew how to play the games better. So they would tell you how to actually kill those tanks, and it was to like jump and shoot a bunch of shurikens and never ever try to just like go and cut it, like and slash it, because like the odds of you succeeding are pretty much like 0, and you know, because it's arcade, you had quarters, so you would need to put actual money each time you had a game over. So buying now, I would have already paid like 50 cents if we're counting quarters. And because I'm from Canada, I'm assuming most of my viewers are from America, so because of the shit economy where I live, that's probably like 2 cents American. See, one of the things that make me love this level so much is that there's a variety in enemies that installs itself. See, like, and everything is much more crowded, and you know, if you play in the arcades and have limited continues and everything, you really start becoming engaged, because you're kind of fighting for your money at that point. And I mean, the game is fun, so you don't really want to stop for that either. What else is there? I really like the warehouses. Like, graphically, I really love this. And it's kind of weird to think that I found it ugly at first. I mean, arcade game. If there's a type of game that really is like varied in its graphic style, it's really arcade games. Nowadays, like at the time of this Let's Play, it's PS4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch. So there's like this current gen thing going on, but in the arcades, even if you were like 5 years behind your time, the machine was still there. You could still put your quarters in and play, as long as it was making money and as long as it was popular. And I just realized I don't have any more shurikens. This is gonna be bad. I'll try, but I doubt it'll, yeah. Oh boy. Yeah, I'll need to let him kill me. Or, no wait, I remember another trick I figured out. Though that one no one told me, so if you actually survive long enough, the tank is going to be like, fuck that, and just leave you alone. It's actually going to like leave. Obviously the downside to this is that you don't get any points for your high score, but you had to be a really fucking good player to do a 1cc of this game. Alright, well I'll just kill him with that. That's fine by me. Whoa, that's terrible. I never fucked it up that hard, ever, I think. There we go. That was terrible. Ugh, a part of me is like, you should actually restart the whole Let's Play because of this, but no. As I said, like, I want to relax, I want to be in good spirits. There's a new Ninja Warriors game coming out. It's been one of my biggest dreams. I remember beating the Super Nintendo game and telling some of my friends, like, this game is perfect. It's a masterpiece. The only flaw is that it's not two-player. That, like, if it was two-player, it would be the greatest beat-em-up of all time. And people said, yeah, you're right, that's too bad. And I said, well, you know what, maybe if they make a sequel. And that's where people would shut me down, because they would be like, listen, dude, this game's not popular enough. Taito is not what it used to be. Like, forget it. The best we can get maybe is like a virtual console port, and we didn't even get that. So, it really hurt because, oh, there goes Hitler. I hate fucking. What I hate is how he hides behind his fucking, like, soldiers, like a little bitch. Oh yeah, I also remember getting a huge kick out of the fact that you can climb the stairs. I know it sounds kind of dumb, but in video games in general, it's always like well, at least in most arcade games, it's usually going to be just a background detail. and I wanted to do like a jump like this once, but I pressed up too fast and I started climbing the stairs, so I was like, this is the best fucking thing. So it's kind of a shortcut if you're low on HP, and it's actually a much safer route. See, this stage I don't particularly enjoy more than any other. I appreciate it for what it is, because you're going through, you know, pretty much their base, right? You're getting closer to your target, and it really symbolizes that very, very well. But besides that, I don't know. Even if the song is good, it's not as engaging as the rest, but it's okay to have a change in atmosphere. You know, it makes everything much more like threatening and gives you a good sense that you're progressing and moving forward. Oh god. Oh man. See, one of the things that shook me is the first time I realized that these characters are robots. So this is kind of funny, but a lot of girls who play Mega Man have like this crush on Zero, because, you know, why not? And when I played this game, before I even knew they were robots, I was like, oh my god, Kunoichi is like super hot and stuff, like whoa, you know? But then the first time I died, and it was on the Super Nintendo version, remember, so the graphics were like, you know, better and kind of more detailed than this. And in this game, as you've noticed by now, depending on where you get certain damage, like your clothing is gonna tear off and you're gonna start seeing the robotic parts. But in the Super Nintendo game, it's not the case. You only get to discover that they're robots when they die. They actually blow the fuck up, like in pieces and stuff. So I went from being like, oh my god, Kunoichi is so amazing and so beautiful, like the long blonde hair and the outfit, like she's, you know, it reminded me of Zero from Mega Man, that's for sure. Yeah, I guess it was kind of like how people do it nowadays with like the whole waifu thing. Oh, she's my waifu. So I went from seeing her as like super beautiful, and when she blew to pieces, I was brokenhearted because I was like, that's a fucking robot? I must have been... How old was I? That's kind of good memories, actually. I wonder how old I was. The way I discovered this... So, I have this friend who... you know, much older than me, like 20 years older than me, I think. Maybe 15. So, obviously, when I was a little kid, he was old enough to have a job and to have his own money and all that stuff. So he always had like this insane amount of games. So a lot of series, like for example Guilty Gear or Darkstalkers, is stuff I discovered at his house because he had all those games. Also King of Fighters, worth mentioning. And probably a bunch I can't think of because there was so much. And he introduced me to lots of beat-em-ups. So obviously when I go home, not having consoles and stuff, I would like want to play beat-em-ups so bad. So I got familiar with emulators, and I was running some form of Windows XP at the time, and obviously we got into emulators. My older brother knew about this because at school it was like this, like, oh man, did you know you can get games for free? It was almost like a black market thing. It's ridiculous, but it was unbelievable when it got like familiar, when anybody could pull it off. So I downloaded game after game. I downloaded like probably like hundreds of games. Some that had Japanese titles I couldn't even read back then, and I played them. I played so many Super Nintendo and NES, like every console I could, and eventually I stumbled upon the Ninja Warriors, and it's called the Ninja Warriors again on the Super Nintendo. I stumbled upon that, and to this day it's still one of my favorite games. So that's how I got into the series. Eventually I stumbled, thanks to my friend that I mentioned, I stumbled upon the arcade version because he had he had a fuck ton of arcade machines in his basement, because the guy who, like, you know, runs the business of arcade machines in the, like, province I live in, he's good friend with him. So when an arcade machine would, like, no longer be as popular or make less money, or if it was slightly defective, he would give it to my friend, and my friend would repair it and just have it working or simply buy it. So he had like his own private arcade in his basement. That was just insane. So I played the original Ninja Gaiden arcade. Oh man, so much stuff. I don't even remember all the names of the games I played. Anyway, so I got introduced to a bunch of stuff, and one of these things eventually was the Ninja Warriors. Because, you know, he noticed I like beat 'em ups and stuff, and well, it's ninjas and robots. What kind of kid would not want to play this? Or at least where I was from, that was like everybody's thing. So I got into that one and recognized the characters, but as I mentioned at the beginning of this Let's Play, I didn't like it too much. I finished a playthrough of the game regardless, and in the end I did like it though. So when I would go home, I would play the Super Nintendo version on emulator. Then I would realize, hey, you know what, like, throwing the shurikens and the score system and just the way it played is kind of nice. So I downloaded the arcade emulator, which, like, you know, I was a dumb kid, so it took me years to figure out how to make this shit work. Eventually I got it working, I played it a fuckload, and well, it brought me to where I am now, loving this game a lot more, being able to appreciate it, and being extremely hyped that there's a third game coming out. Now, you know, fans of this series are always going to talk about it like a full series or a full franchise. There's only 2 games, but there's many versions of these 2 games. There's like the PC Engine version that was like, if I remember well, it was a Hue card. It wasn't even like a cassette, it wasn't even a cartridge, it was a fucking Hue card. It was so weird. The version was good though, and as far as I'm aware, it was as close as you could get to playing the arcade version at home. You know, so I appreciated it for that. Again, I didn't have a PC Engine, but a friend of mine did, so, you know, to my surprise, he had this game. And that's that's what I meant earlier, that if you don't kill the tank, but the tank doesn't kill you, he just goes like, yeah, fuck that, and just goes away. So you don't die, but you also don't get the score advantage of him dying. And I'm kind of competitive, so I definitely want to do a score run of this game eventually, but yeah. Oh, I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, a series. So, you know, it is a series because there's 2 games, but it's 2 games of different versions. So the arcade had a bunch of ports, and the Super Nintendo game was only on Super Nintendo, and that was it. And note that I refer to the Super Nintendo version as a sequel, because in my interpretation of the timeline, it really is a sequel, but that is up for debate. If you guys are interested, I could make a video explaining what I believe is the timeline and the occurrence of the events. Anyway, now to make my point. It being a series is like officially a thing for me because a 3rd game is coming out, and basically it's like, it's unbelievable that this game, people told me there's never going to be a 3rd game. This is it. It's not popular enough. There's no reason to make a new one because gaming is moving another direction. Kids these days aren't going to play that. They don't want that. They want the new Call of Duty. They want something else. This isn't anymore what people played. That time is gone, and I had to accept that as a kid, but then the indie scene popped in, and now here we are. But this game, this dream that I held in silence for like almost all of my life, and if you go watch the trailer, the gameplay, the game looks, it's better. It is better than what I dreamed of. I'm so excited I can't speak. It's better than what I dreamed of all those years. What I imagined was something much more simplistic, much more humble, not this like full-on production glory remaster sequel. Like, Wow, and it's called the Ninja Warriors once again, which is like, you know, ironically poking fun at itself, which I appreciate. I appreciate a lot, actually. So, from what I've seen in the trailer, it's 2 players. The graphics are just, oh wow, honestly, they're just marvelous, completely astounding. If you're a fan of the original, you'll be able to look at it and really just like understand what I mean. I know it's like a broad statement because again, it's one of these 2D side-scroller games. If a kid from nowadays generation of gamers, oh I got her. If a kid from nowadays generation of gamers saw it, they'd probably be like, yeah, but why are the graphics so cheap? But to people like me who grew up loving the series, to see this HD adaptation is like, even this right now, this arcade port that I'm playing, it's the ACA, or ACA arcade as I call it. You know, it's filtered graphically, so to me it's extremely beautiful. And this new game that's coming out, it's like the sprites are just so well animated. Everything is just so in place, and the new boss designs and the new enemy designs, they're so huge and intimidating, and I just can't wait. Like, this is better than anything I dreamed of, and it's I wouldn't have dared ask for something like this because of the near impossible odds of it being possible at all, honestly. So we're getting that. I wonder if I should do a Let's Play of the Super Nintendo version, which I used to like beat the shit out of on hard mode when I was a kid. I wonder if I can still pull it off as an adult. And why is this boss like... Can you imagine if I had to drop a quarter for every game over I had? Like, that's how games were back then, but... yeah, it depends. You know, like, games nowadays are $80 fucking. At least in Canada, they're like 80 to 100. United States, China, Japan have acceptable prices, but... that's why I use the Chinese PlayStation Network system. Holy shit, that jump. I didn't remember that. So basically, what I mean to say with that is that if you pay attention, it was 25 cents each time you needed a continue. How much was a playthrough of the average arcade game? At worst, well, if you were decently skilled, at worst, it would have been $10. So $10 to play an excellent game that you can't really own it. That you, unless you were like super rich, you had like super rich parents or like some very lucky circumstances, there was no way you could own this at home. So for $10, you could play this amazing game, you know, instead of having to buy like this expensive arcade machine and all that. So I never really saw a problem with arcades, but then there's like what's known as quarter eaters. Those were games designed so fucking cheap that you would probably, if you wanted to win, you could bust up to like $45, and I'm not exaggerating, some games were that bad. Oh man. I find it kind of badass now, like as an adult. I don't know why I thought it was so gross when I was a kid. That, you know, the head is like practically, you know, there's no skin, no nothing anymore. Am I not supposed to go forward? Oh, no, I'm supposed to go down and continue right. There we go. And I was also like not thinking anymore. Come on, go down. Am I supposed to? I wasn't really thinking, and I realized that this stage is not all that linear. You actually, like, it's kind of a maze thing. Well, not really a maze, but it's like, oh, go here, go there. So it kind of creates this, like, whoa effect compared to all the other stages. The other stages had, like, oh, you could climb up and stuff like that. But here you had to go a bit left, a bit right, almost like you were exploring, like just clearing the White House completely. Oh man, it gets really tough near the end. That, and I'm not playing at my best because I want to focus on just commentating and having fun. I was one slash away from killing that motherfucker. Oh wow. So yeah, what else could I say about this? Oh yeah, so if you're paying attention, this is the Daddy Malk theme song from, you know, from the beginning of the game. So the first song you get to hear is at the same time, ironically enough, it's the last one. It's the one you finish the game with, so it really gives you like a sense of conclusion, and it's very like heroic at the same time, because this is your song, this is your theme song, it's yours, it's your thing, you know? It's like your anthem, or like, I don't know how to really like word it so it makes sense, but it's really your theme song. So the fact that you get to hear it as you're clearing the game is really a wonderful thing, and I love it when game designers put symbolic songs at the end of their games, just to make it so much more like symbolic, meaningful, and memorable, and all that. So this to me, and the fact that it's called Daddy Malk kind of refers to the creator of the Ninja Warriors, and I do mean like story-wise, Malk, who created these robots to counter the dictator government. So it's kind of like Daddy Malk, as in, for our creator, we're doing this, you know, like, these robots, as far as I'm aware, they really just are killing machines, and that's that. So they don't have feelings or consciousness, but to me, I always wanted to tell myself that they did, and that song really held a lot of meaning to me. Well, it still does, because to me it's like, we're gonna finish this mission, make our creator happy, and, you know, we're gonna do the right thing, is how I've always seen it. And it's just, I don't know, it felt like one of the best moments this franchise could have, knowing how this is your fight. You're so close to completing your mission, and that's the only reason you live as a ninja warrior. The only reason you're even there to begin with is to complete exactly that. So there's this sense of like victory, and at the same time I always really enjoy the fact that you're directly at the White House. Like, he can't run anymore. The final boss can't run. Well, boss, you'll see, but anyway, there's nowhere to run. This is it. You've got him cornered, and it's just death is approaching him, slowly but surely. It's just an excellent scene to, you know, complete an excellent arcade game. I really hope the game that's being made, the third one, is going to be very successful. I hope this is like a new kick for the series. I really, really hope. Because, you know, I feel it deserves more light. I feel the franchise just, you know, it deserves to continue existing. I see with this new game that Taito gives a shit, and it's a bold move to take like a niche franchise like this and just give it a modern spin. Well, by modern spin, it's like half retro, half modern, thanks to the HD graphics, but yeah, and it blew my head off. If I remember well, right after this is where I reach Belger. I don't remember if his name is any different in the Japanese version, but yeah. There we go. Alright, so this is like the final stretch now. See, he's right over there. The son of a bitch. And what I like is that he's not even human. He's just like a demon, like a devil thing. Like, it's so mysterious. Who is he really? Where does he come from? Like, so many questions as to why he's not even human, right? And, oh man, he really wants you to die up to this point, because, like, look at that. This is ridiculous. Like, the amount of enemies and all that stuff. And this is like a tougher version of this same, this same boss or, you know, recurring enemy. But this one has like a stupid amount of HP and does, I think, like even more damage. And the fact that it's overcrowded like this really, really... Like imagine someone doing a 1cc of this. Like how the fuck do you handle that part? I actually should look it up on YouTube. It's gotta be quite a show. Oh yeah, one thing I want to mention is that if you look clearly on the right, it says push 2-player button to start. See, even the arcade game was 2-player and the Super Nintendo game was not. So even then, when I saw that the arcade game had a 2-player and the Super Nintendo version did not, it pretty much like made me feel a bit sad. So as you can see, he's completely cornered. You got different ways to kill him. You can just cut or like throw something. I love slicing him off. So he's not even gonna fight back. This is it. I like how his head kind of bounces when he dies. So the mission is complete, and well, it turns out that the Ninja Warriors had some sort of failsafe like programmed inside them, because think about it, they overcome insane amounts of soldiers and enemies, right? They're the complete killing, like the absolute killing machine. So they destroyed them for safety to make sure they couldn't do anything. And also you get to have broken English. A revolution broke out and everything became to an end. The troubled country seemed to be finished by the death of the wicked machines, but the peace did not came, because Ninja Warriors, they are the immortal murder machines. And I kind of like how the house is all destroyed, but it looks kind of small there. But yeah, anyway. The thing is, so far, both of the Ninja Warriors game end up like this. You kill this dictator, and the Ninja Warriors are like self-destructed or like manually destructed. And this broke my heart. It really did, because I found it kind of dark. Like, they're heroes. They saved everyone. They freed the entire either country or world, you know? And this is what they get? Like, and as I said, as a kid, I always told myself, what if they have thoughts? What if they were like self-aware to a certain level? Then they did that, and after being used as a tool, is just push the button and that's it, they're done. As if they were not important. But the truth obviously is that they're just unbelievably dangerous. They, as the broken English just said, they're the immortal killing machines. So I can understand humanity's desire to keep it under control, but I don't know. I never felt that they deserved that. But the way the game portrays them, they don't have like self-awareness and stuff. So I'm really just crying over the fact that non-sentient machines got blown the fuck up. Yeah, so you know, if you see them as nothing but murder machines, then it's fine. Hell, they can even be reconstructed as better versions of themselves. They don't even have memories, so who cares, right? But I always saw it that way. What if they had that self-awareness? Isn't that cruel? Isn't that just kind of fucked up? Why is it that when you beat arcade games, they say game over? I know that the game is finished, but come on, cheer me up here. So yeah, that's it for this Let's Play. I'm really excited for the third game. I hope you guys will check it out, and thanks for watching.